done as well.
But we wouldn't be putting anything into this building anytime soon then, if you move
No, we
forward.
would. So just to clarify, so we've got the $381,000 of COVID funds. We have an additional $100,000 grant from the state that's dedicated only to that building. But we also have a little over $400,000 in building expansion funds that the township has been putting aside in reserve and investing over time, waiting to do upgrades
Okay.
here. So we also have those
Okay.
funds available. And I just maybe want to just touch base that how this got started was during COVID, several people contracted COVID in this room because we were packed in so tightly, myself included, Steve included. And so it was determined a couple years ago that a top priority for the township is to have a bigger meeting room so that people can be spaced out better. You know, if the township has decided that's not a priority anymore, then obviously we can shift gears but we just have to do it quickly if we want to shift those funds somewhere else. It sounds like maybe at this point, because there's, you know, some real questions about the schoolhouse, that maybe what we want to do is have the architect get us some cost estimates for design work in public works and admin, maybe as separate elements if you could, and see what those cost estimates look like to get some design done over here, and maybe we can shift those funds to focus on one of these other areas.
Yeah, because I think anything that we need to do to this building, we likely need to do something external to this building first, whether it be the schoolhouse or it be adding on to public
Right.
works, so that you can get the vehicles out of here,
Right.
and then you can reconfigure the downstairs space
Right.
along with the upstairs space, so that there is place for the office work to actually be done and be moved around as construction is going on.
Right,
There will have to be
we're
some
gonna have to.
Mobility of the
Yeah.
functions
I
in
mean,
this
the
facility.
challenge is if we keep this space as our meeting room, there's not a whole lot of option space-wise up here. I mean, we don't have much space, so, I mean, we could maybe reconfigure some walls to improve the security situation, but we won't have space to bring a codes person in or to hire any additional staff that we might need in the future, so.
How many, we have just 3 personnel that live here?
Currently, yes. We used to
Okay.
have 4, plus a codes person downstairs, in the
Okay.
past.
So the codes person we want to bring in is like a day or 2 here.
Correct.
Is there do we actually have a need for him to be here 2 days a week?
I think it's a better service to the community, because right now, people have to chase him down at LTL, at an outside company, and we get a lot of complaints that they have a hard time catching him and getting return calls. I think if we had dedicated hours that people could count on here at the office, that they could catch him, I think it would be a better service to the residents, and it wouldn't cost any more. We still are paying him for a certain number of hours every week that they are doing things. We would just simply be having him dedicated here, maybe 3 hours on Tuesday, 3 hours on Thursday, and he would do his plan reviews here, and he would do his inspections during those times, so it would give people a little more predictability as to when they could schedule inspections and that sort of thing.
So we currently pay this gentleman, couldn't we just tell him he needs to make himself a little more readily available to our community?
Well, we are trying, but we're competing with several other municipalities, and it would be a lot easier if we could say, we want you dedicated to us these hours.
Mondays and Thursdays,
Right,
9 to
Yeah.
12.
yeah.
We are going out, we didn't send out for an RFP for
No,
that
you
gentleman,
didn't.
but we could do that as well. We could just find someone who's a little more in tune to
You
our
can,
needs here.
you can, but I will tell you, it's hard to find certain types of consultants right now, and inspectors are very difficult to get.
Yeah, it's an option. I would look
Yeah,
into
no,
that.
I don't disagree with you, but, you know, that was sort of part of the long-term plan was, you know, to try to get that service available to the residents more easily.
Yeah.
But it's not critical, I mean, you know, we can keep going as we are.
Just thinking, You know, we have, what, 134 houses added since 2010. We got about 300 more being projected to come in right now. I'm just trying to weigh, do I need that right now? You know what I mean?
No, I'm not
That's-
saying we do need it right now, I'm
And
just
this-
saying we,
Yeah,
as
We
far as
need to be
planning,
planning
sure,
For
absolutely. That's-
future.
Yeah,
For-
absolutely.
some growth in the campus facility besides just the public works vehicles. We're gonna need more space here, so,
Sure.
and safe space. So it needs to be, meet certain criteria. We do need to be planning ahead for, if we're gonna make any investment in this facility, we should make it in a way that grows with the township and doesn't find us 10 years from now saying, or 6 years from now saying, oh, we gotta build an addition because when we did the renovation, it cost us $400,000. We didn't think 10 years ahead. And I know I happened to cross that. I used to be at Springford School District. They built a brand new high school, and by the time the kids moved into it, they had outgrown it and were
Right.
setting up, changing all the schools. So
Yep.
we have to be planning for that as well, that this community building, that the campus does need to be more accommodating for some growth.
Right, I'm just not sure. So if I read the comprehensive plan correctly, what do we grow, like 1% or 1.4% every 10 years or something like that?
it depends, I mean, the way that it's gonna work, I think we've had one house per year for the last like 4 years.
Yeah.
Right, so we've been very quiet, right? But we know that there's the possibility in the near future that we could get a bigger development, right? The same development that was proposed 15 years ago at a much bigger scale, right? We got lucky, the recession hit, it went away, but now it's, looking like it's coming back at a smaller scale, but still coming back.
And then with that, with the sewer plant associated with that, like the water system, do we need additional employees to run that, or is that?
We'll have to decide. We'll have to figure out if that's the point. So currently with the sewer plants we have in the water plant, we contract that out. But if we have to bring on a new sewer plant and a new water plant, it might be more cost effective to have in-house staff.
So there would be
Oh, we had a conversation a couple of years ago, in July of 2021, where this board specifically said it wanted to have the municipal authority up and running by January of '22. And that was before it was disclosed that all this was in fact imminent, coming in. And I was concerned about that. And I said, at that point, we are gonna end up expanding and having to bring on new people. And that comes at a big expense to us as well. Just in salaries, pension plans and things like that, so.
I'm only thinking right now,
Yeah,
facility space, if that's
So
something that we're gonna need to accommodate
we are.
at some point in the near future, if we're doing any reconfiguring, we should be planning for how is the space flexible in order to adapt to additional employee headcount.
Sure.
It could be that we deal with it here and punt down the road, and 4 years from now, if we need to hire 6, I'm making this up, I don't know any number, 6 people to run some municipal authority, we put them in the schoolhouse and we do the schoolhouse at that time.
Yeah.
Instead of an addition, but I don't, it is hard when you don't know what the full longer term projections are for
Sure.
people in the township, for residents, so.
Sure. And
Were
this.
you raising your hand?
No, it was just.
Oh, no, not you, George. Mr. Price. Yeah?
Were you talking?
Bruce Freeze, Colonial Road. Just a comment about the guy that we're paying to not be available. I think we should be able to fix that somehow. But that's another issue, I guess.
I'm with you on that.
My question, I guess, is, sounds like the priority is for a new building in the back.
Yes, sir.
What's gonna happen with the building down here? Can that be used for anything? The
You mean
building-
underneath the?
Yes, building starts-
So Ms. Stack,
Yeah, so, I mean, we would still use it for storage and, possibly lawn equipment, the mowing equipment and that sort of thing. It just wouldn't be as active with the mechanic bay and spray painting, they would take all that out to the
I
new
get
bay.
that, but can it be used for something that we're talking about needing office space for?
So that's one thing we had looked at. The challenge is accessing down there. You have to go through the public works yard to get into that lower part of the space, and it's not ADA accessible from up here to get down there. So, we had that original architect look at that, and it just didn't seem to make sense.
So
when
we have
were
any
looking at it.
numbers on what that would cost?
Well, it didn't make sense from a layout standpoint, so they didn't get as far as numbers.
Okay.
I mean, I suppose we could go back and try to look at it again. But part of the concept plan that we have now is one of the bays is proposed to get converted to a locker room and showers for the public works crew. And then that just leaves 2 bays remaining, which they can still use for, their less intensive stuff.
So I don't think we're gonna solve anything tonight, but I do think what we need is the estimate for the additional facilities to do the repair, garage, pole barn, whatever you wanna call it, and whether or not it has, how many, it sounds like it probably needs to be more than 1 bay.
Correct.
Because we have a spare store, you rent the lawn equipment storage for the winter.
Right.
And is there any growth plan for your vehicles, Steve? To add vehicles than what you have today? That we
Well,
would
we
need
got-
extra bays than?
I think we have a couple more pieces of equipment.
Yeah. Other than like our zero turns and everything, so right now I rent a C box to put our roller in and our zero turns, and we store it out there where the old recycle area is. So I rent that. But as for new equipment, there's a couple extra pieces that are coming. But the bigger equipment, we'll get into that when we go into our equipment overview. So when you swap out a piece of equipment, we're just gonna replace that equipment. So we're not really going to,
You're not expanding?
In the foreseeable future.
just replacing.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking that you get an estimate for an extra pole barn with the lift in it for repairs. Do you need that to be multiple bays? Why, I know one thing we threw around today was, should we have a wash bay, because you apparently wash them just
Yeah.
with a power washer out in the,
We talked about that as well.
yeah. So I don't, do we need 2 bays, that's all?
Yeah, so we definitely need 2 bays. And we had talked about
Drive-through.
the lean-to and then a separate drive-through possibly down the road, right? Was kind of what we had thought about. So it sounds like at this point, maybe for purposes of Mike, we should have him, we can coordinate with him on the details, but have him start working on a cost estimate of coming up with the design for that so that we can move forward.
The
For the
roads
public
department?
Works.
To the public
Okay,
works
yes.
expansion area. And I guess that's all you want right now, not worry
Yeah.
about the admin building, is what I'm hearing.
For me, that's what I would like to do.
So,
Well, the action.
just to be clear, just the proposal for the exterior building that we talked about.
That's what it sounds like,
Those
yeah.
ways areas.
Yeah, and we'll
then
get you more
The drive-through one
details.
possibly on the other side here, we
Yeah.
were talking
Why
about.
don't you give us a,
Those two spaces.
yeah, we'll
Why
get
would
you
we
the
do the
details,
admin at the same
Okay.
time?
because Bill doesn't want to.
No, but I mean, a cost estimate, because we still, even if you move, the whole point was if you move the vehicles out, you open up the bay, it frees up space downstairs for, giving the men shower space.
Oh, no, I
And-
totally agree with that, yeah, that, I thought that was on tail. Has nothing to do with me not wanting it, it has everything to do with, I have to answer to these guys. And realistically, for me, that is just not a priority.
That's fine.
This is a mess. Well, just when you said that, I didn't want it to seem like Bill doesn't want to do it, so we're not doing it, that's ridiculous, that's not
I know.
what it is.
We'll focus downstairs, taking the mechanics bay, cutting that out.
But there will need to be, if we don't do the schoolhouse, either way, without the schoolhouse, this has to be reconfigured. It just, so we do need the plans for this as well. And then the top priority is just checking behind on the schoolhouse behind the siding to see what kind of condition that house actually is in.
Wouldn't, you talk about getting designs and stuff for public works and downstairs there, I mean, wouldn't the design be dependent on downstairs also, as far as, you know, would it, I think it would be cost effective to do both at the same time as far as the designs, so that we can say, well, you know, it's more practical to just give Steve his own building out there and then take over downstairs, with except for like maybe a locker room or something, he's got plumbing there, and then, you know, see that design at the same time, and then if it's not practical, then he doesn't need as big a building. But I'd rather see Public Works have their own separate building, and then we reduce space down here and maybe reconfigure the entrance to the Public Works yard so that it is ADA accessible.
Yeah, I mean, we can explore that also. So I guess giving Mike some guidance though, he needs, do you want him to give us a cost estimate on working on the building as well as the outer buildings, kind of?
I think we're gonna need it, but I do think we need to prioritize the pole barn needs and what it would take for the exterior of that, like, what does that really look like, the condition? Those would be the two priorities, right? The condition of the schoolhouse and the plan for public works.
So when I read that, this structural engineer's report here, it details pretty much what the condition of it
But
is.
they didn't lift
But
off
they
the
didn't,
siding.
yeah, they didn't look
They
at
didn't
the
check,
siding.
yeah. That was the one thing that,
And unfortunately, every old structure takes on water at some point to a point you just don't know, okay, it took on water, how much damage did that water cause?
anybody else think it's a good idea to restore the schoolhouse?
I think it's a bad idea.
So do I.
Money pit?
I'm sorry, what?
Money pit. It sounds like a
Money
money
pit,
pit.
that's what she said, money
If it
pit.
was still standing in its original form, I would say, yeah, it might be, but everything's done to it now.
Yeah, but can't you undo it? That's what most places do, they
Not cost
refurbish
effectively,
them.
I'm
They
saying.
need extra money.
You're talking about how, you're really looking towards the future and what a thing's gonna look like. I'm wondering if it would be smart to get an estimate, not just for what the roads crew needs now, but maybe something even larger, so you're not adding an addition to it in 5 years.
Well, that's, yeah, we need to be planning ahead. What do you think your needs are, yeah?
Yeah. The other thing is you have to factor in is operating costs. When you try to do all these changes, there's additional costs that are all going.
So that was a thought I had
Yeah.
with having this other building too. There goes your insurance is going up, you gotta have your daily
Heat, air
upkeep.
conditioning, I mean,
Yeah.
it goes on and on. There's a lot of operating costs that are involved,
Absolutely.
so.
Absolutely.
But I think as far as the public works, I would rather see them all in one building and
Sure.
not have anything here. I think you need to have that separation, because this is an administrative building. You have to start defining areas. That's public works, this is administration, and you have to go from there. When you start intermixing them, that's when you have conflict. And it's a natural thing just to let the guys have their area down there. And that would include the shower. I think putting a shower here is gonna be a waste of time and money, because you're gonna end up having probably to pull it out at some point in time and
Why
put
would
it
we have
down
to pull
there.
it
So you
out?
might as well put it down there to begin with. Do it one time, do it right.
I do think that the upstairs crew and the downstairs crew work together on plans and planning and projects and budgets. So there is office space downstairs for the public works crew. It just looks like it's been,
1970.
Yeah, I mean, we are separated in terms of, I mean, upstairs is admin, downstairs is public works, and then out back. So I guess, you know, because we're so small, we are needing to kind of help each other. So if they're completely separate, I mean, we only have 2 people in the office, and if one of us is gone, sometimes we need someone from Public Works to step in and help us out with something. So I think we have a healthy separation. I mean, they're down there, but we can quickly get them if we need them. And our plumbing is all down here in the, it's here, and then it's in this this initial bay area, which is why we wanted to try to do this, their locker room and shower in that first bay where the plumbing is nearby. I mean, if we have to start running plumbing, another 100, 200 feet.
But if you were factoring in the fact that you wanted to have a wash area for the vehicles, you're gonna have to do plumbing anyway. So you're gonna have to have drains, you're gonna have to have water, so you might, like I said, you're better off putting it all together, get it done one time. Get your little wish list together.
Is this, are we on septic here?
We
Yeah,
are,
so-
yes.
Yeah.
Are we able to handle that?
Well, that's something you have to figure out. You have to figure out how many gallons a minute you're gonna have in that well there, because they're gonna have a wash bay over there.
That's what I'm thinking, so we're talking about a massive upgrade there as well, that should be thought of right now, as we're
Well,
sitting
they're washing the
here.
vehicles today. It's
Right.
just that they're doing it out in the open,
Yeah.
in freezing, like this, if you had to wash them yesterday, you're out in 20-degree weather washing with a power washer.
I'm just thinking of it going down a drain, where's it going? You know what I'm saying, if it's gonna go in a septic or not,
It's filtering out good.
that's what I'm wondering, that's what I'm wondering. Okay, so that's where I'm pretty much in agreement with these folks here. I don't really think I need to do anything with the schoolhouse at this minute. I think anything I put forward is just an added expense I'm putting into it at this point, which I would like to take every penny I have and put into the roads department. I did hear about the safety. Did something happen here that brought this up, the safety?
It came up in the emergency management plan tabletop discussion, the
Correct.
training session I went to.
Yeah.
It was saying what the requirements of your township building should be for the safety of the employees. There should be,
And there was a zoning officer recently
Yeah.
killed when somebody came in and shot him up in the Poconos, so,
That was recent.
a couple years ago.
It was a while ago, we shot at one person.
Right.
He went to the supervisor's meeting, they had taken his property.
I could see how people in a township could be mad at people in the township building.
So I think even having them come into the township in a scenario like that, there's really nothing you're gonna do to prevent that. Once he's inside or they're inside to have a conversation, you're now at a trust issue, and no safe room or escape room or anything like that's gonna necessarily save anybody, you know what I'm saying? So I do think.
I'm pretty sure Tracy and Kate would like to have an exit door where they are.
And I agree with that. I think wholeheartedly, we could put a door out there. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
So that's, okay. So at this point, I guess we need to make a motion to, what do you want to say, Ms. Tracy?
I think Mike would like to say
Yeah.
something.
Go ahead,
I just want to make sure, so before I get into my number, if you want to, I guess between the four of you, discuss what the goals of this building is, what the goals are for out there, on top of whatever we had talked about today when I walked through with
Yeah, so I'll have Steve, he's got like equipment, square footages and things like that he's developed. So we'll coordinate and then we'll get you that information.
Okay, and I can always stop in and sit down with you and meet in person again, because
Okay.
I drive past here every day on the way home
Okay.
from work, so.
Okay, all right.
I
Yeah,
just
that might be a good idea.
come back at another day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon like I did today,
Okay,
and
sounds good.
take a look, so.
Okay.
So, but you guys are good with him giving us some cost estimates for design work once we meet with them, right?
Mhm.